Let's get back to some good old dollar bin diving, shall we? Check it out. Hey everyone, and welcome. I'm Chris, and this is Northgarden Comics. I've got a couple stacks of books to show you today that I picked up in a couple different dollar bin sales that I've been meaning to show you for a couple weeks. And I got interrupted by other things. Last week in my video, I showed you all of the new books that I got from my most recent order from DCBS. And new books are the kind of thing where people like to see them when they're, new, so you don't want to let those sit. So I did those last week, and I put off showing you these back issues till this week. The books that I'm going to show you today, I got on the same day that I met up with one of my viewers, Ben, and received my first ever AOK, or friend mail, some call it, and he gave me a stack of comics that he did not want, but he thought that I would enjoy because he appreciated the content that gets put out by this channel, and we connect on Instagram. So if you would like to see the books that he gave me, I will put a link to that video down below in the description of this video, so you can watch that later. But what these books represent are the books that I got while Ben and I were in a local store called Issues Needed, and we did some dollar bin diving there, got a handful of books. But then later that same day, a local vendor called Most Wanted Comics, they don't have a storefront, but they do attend all the local cons in the area, and they'll travel for conventions as well. But as we all know, 2020 is not the year for conventions, so they were hosting a liquidation sale at their warehouse where every book was $1. So I've got about a dozen books from there to show you. So let's get to those. First up here, we've got, this is X-Men Red number 4. This is a recent volume of X-Men. X-Men went through a recent phase or run where they did X-Men Blue, which was the teenage X-Men. They did X-Men Gold, and then they had X-Men Red. This was a team headed up by recently resurrected Jean Grey. And this particular issue, it's a good run. I'd recommend it. I think it only ran for like 10, 12 issues, but it had some cool stories in there. And this is a variant cover. I already have the main cover, and I collected this as it came out. But this is the Deadpool variant, or maybe it's Jean Pool. I don't know, because you got Jean Grey as Deadpool there, and she is throwing telekinetic chimichangas. And the reason I picked this up wasn't even so much for the variant per se. It was for this artist right here. Artist Brent Schoonover. He is a local artist here in Minnesota, and he had done a signing for this book when it came out. I was not able to attend the signing, but I just happened to come across some of the overstock copies of this issue in their dollar bin while we were hunting that day, and there were 2 copies with Brent's autograph on there. So I grabbed one and gave the other one to Ben, so that was just a cool signature pickup. Next up here, we've got, this is Alpha Flight Special number 3 in a 4-issue limited series. This one, I didn't know anything about. I just saw it and happened to grab it because I have a bunch of the issues from Alpha Flight's first volume. I had never heard of this before, and so I looked it up. And it was interesting because it looks like a regular 4-part limited series, but what this actually is a reprinting of some of the issues in the main volume of Alpha Flight. So part 1 of this limited series is a reprint of Alpha Flight number 97. Part 2 is a reprint of 98. This part 3 is a reprint of issue 99, and the only difference is this word special right here, and then of course the language up here referring to this being a limited series. I really don't know much more beyond that. Another interesting fact is that this was actually published only a couple months after the main issues that were the first prints. So were these like just a weird way to do a second printing as a limited series that just encapsulated a story? I don't know too many details, but if you know more about this special, let me know down in the comments below. That was definitely a curious find that I wasn't aware of when I picked this up. Next up here, we've got, this was a cover by, this is Captain America number 702. This is the Pepe Larraz variant. I got this because I like Larraz's style a lot, and pretty much if it's got his name on it, I am likely to pick it up, even if it's not something I'm collecting currently. I did not have this issue. This issue comes kind of in this time where there was the milestone issue number 700, and then there was, you you get these periods between volumes of titles. So issues 701, 2, 3, and 4. But at the end of this, that's when everything rebooted and we got the new #1 with the Alex Ross covers and the current volume of Captain America that we have today. But this was part of that after the legacy numbering was reinstated for a lot of Marvel's titles, and this was one of those issues in that. Didn't have it, but glad to have this Pepe Larraz variant. And again, all these 99 cents a piece. Next up, we've got Oblivion Song number 16. This is a title out by Image, written by Robert Kirkman, artist named Lorenzo Di Felici. And I was collecting this when it was new, right at the beginning of the run, and then I slid more into more of a passive way to collect the run, where now I just pick them up as back issues, and I'm up to issue number 16 with this. I think that's a very cool cover. I like the lightning. If you're not familiar with the title, picture, transporting back and forth between our world and then like the Upside Down from Stranger Things. It's, reminds me of a feel like that, occupying the same space, but in an alternate dimension with big scary monsters who want to eat you. So pretty cool there. Next up, this was something I've never really collected before and didn't really know much about. Back in the 70s, 80s, Marvel had several titles that were reprint series. So reprinting Silver Age stories in the Bronze Age. And there's not many of those I collect. And I honestly, there's so many of them, it's hard for me to keep them all straight. But this Marvel Super Action, this one looked cool. This is number 2 from this volume here. This reprints Captain America number 101, which was essentially the second issue of Captain America's standalone title since the Golden Age, after World War II. And it's so cool because this is 1977, but you've got Jack Kirby art there. And yeah, it's a reprint, but for 99 cents, that's much more affordable than me trying to go buy Captain America 101. So just very fun to have this as a 99-cent issue, and I definitely think I will add more of this volume to my wish list. And I think the first 10, 11 dozen issues or so, they're reprinting Captain America's, and then at some point it switches over and it reprints some of the classic Avengers stories. So I don't know how easy or hard it'll be to find more of these in that dollar bin range, but I'll keep my eyes peeled. And then the next few come from a series in the 80s that I've never actively collected, but over time I'm slowly putting it together just because it's fun. This is from Dazzler. This is Dazzler number 3. This is a direct edition copy. I love generally Marvel comics from this era, and Dazzler is pretty cool, and she's a character whose run you can pick up pretty inexpensively. There's only a couple keys in this volume for her, and I think I got number 1 in the volume for 50 cents a few years ago, and that's kind of what started me. And then there's the homage cover. I don't know if it's an homage cover, but it's modeled after Michael Jackson's Thriller, and so I was able to find that in a dollar bin at one point. So I've picked up a few issues in the run. I think there were like 42 issues total over time, and so he had a few more for 99 cents a piece, and they were in good shape, so I grabbed them. This is number 3. And again, anything from this era where it's got the Marvel Comics group across the top, I'm definitely a sucker for. This is number 4, but the newsstand edition, so that's always nice. And then number 11, it's only since I've been on YouTube and watching other YouTube creators and collectors do this kind of thing that I've started doing it, but he had both the newsstand and the direct edition, and they were both in good shape. So that's the collector in me. It's not really a duplicate. One's direct, one's newsstand, so I grabbed one of each for that, again, because they're in really good shape. And then the last one I got at Issues Needed, this was just a fun pickup. This is Death's Head 2, Roman numeral 2, issue number 1. I think this was a 4-part limited series as well. This is actually done by Marvel UK Publishing did this. And yeah, some minor key, the death of Death's Head. I don't know. It's just kind of fun looking. Pages are, again, really crisp and white. I don't know how well that comes through on the video, but they're in tip-top shape there. And I figured, what the heck, 99 cents. That's a fun pickup. Okay, now we're going to shift gears to later in the day when I went to the Most Wanted Comics, that's the name of the vendor, Most Wanted Comics liquidation sale hosted at their warehouse. They had about 100 long boxes of comics. Now, I will kind of set the scene. You know, we're in the, in the midst of COVID, right? And I want to go where there's not a ton of people, but I went right after picking up the books that I just finished showing you, and I didn't even stop. I drove by, the parking lot was full, cars were parked down the street, and the line to get into their warehouse was out the door and probably 30 people deep. And everybody was squished together tight. Yes, they were wearing masks, but everybody was squished that tight. And you know, at a typical sale or convention, when people get into those long boxes, you are shoulder to shoulder and you are squished trying to get through those long boxes. So I said, no way, I'm not even touching it. And I headed on home, and that was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They were actually hosting the sale from 3 in the afternoon until 8 o'clock at night. And then again, they were gonna do it on Sunday from like 10 to 4. So what I did was went home and came back at like 6:30 in the evening, right after dinner time, and it had completely thinned out. There was only 1 or 2 other people in there looking through those boxes while I was there. The other 2 or 3 guys were guys from Most Wanted Comics, and they were shuffling things around, consolidating. Now, of course, I know there's the part of me that says you missed out on some really good things probably because you weren't there at the beginning, but the risks were not worth it for me. So fine to get what I got. There's always going to be more days to collect. There's always going to be more books to collect. So I try to remind myself of that, and I'll just be happy with what I found. So 12 books, $1 a piece, everything bagged and boarded. So here we go. First up, Captain America #1. This is Heroes Return. This is volume 3 of Captain America. So you had volume 1 that went for years and years, decades. Volume 2 that ran for 13 issues during the Heroes Reborn era from 96 to 98, when Marvel outsourced the editorial and artistic and writing duties of 4 of their titles. And then once that rebooted again back in the House of Ideas, it was helmed by Mark Waid, Ron Garney, and it was under this banner, Heroes Return. And I picked this up. I don't have any of the issues from this volume. It's about 50 issue run, but you can see a signature on there. And I think it's Mark Waid's. I have no way to prove it. I did Google it to see what does his signature look like on other books, and it looks kind of like that. So I'm going to go with it. And again, no COA, so that's likely why it was in a dollar bin, because there's no way to prove that it's actually his signature, but it probably is. So we'll just go with that. Cool to have that Captain America #1 with a signature. Next up, Danger Girl #1. When I saw this, I got excited because some of these books can carry some value. And I saw Danger Girl, I saw #1, J. Scott Campbell cover, and I grabbed it for $1. I said, ooh, that might be a book I could turn around and sell. It's not. This is not the Danger Girl copy that you want if you're looking for value. Big indicator here to tell you that it's not is that it's done by IDW. The original volume of Danger Girl was done under Image Comics. That was in 1998, the one that's got some value. This one does not. Yeah, cool J. Scott Campbell cover, but wasn't what I thought it was. But I'd rather pick it up thinking it is something and only spend $1 on it than look at a book, think it's not really anything, leave it behind, and it turns out that it is. So that's fine. Low risk, low loss there. Here we've got some Wildcats 1990s. Great metallic cover. I have a couple issues from this early Image title, but I did not have #2, so I grabbed that, of course, for $1. Jim Lee cover. And then they also had, this is relatively random because I don't have any of the issues up in this range, but this is #25. Also a nice metallic. I'm going to pull this one out and show you because it's a wraparound as well. So here's the front, and then the back is metallic also. You can see the inside there. Oh, it's just that full foil cover, but really cool. And yeah, for $1, that's just a fun pickup. The next 3 are from a crossover series done by IDW. This is Transformers versus G.I. Joe. Again, 13 issues. I didn't pick up any of these when it came out, and I only have 1 issue so far. It's #13. I think I got it for $1 and just recently, but they had 3 more issues in this run that I grabbed. This is, I don't know how you say his last name, if it's Tom Scioli or Scioli. You can see it up there in the top left corner. And then this is an Ed Piskor cover, but The more I look at it, this was an example of art that didn't really appeal to me when I first saw it, but the more I look at it, as I start to read it, flip through the pages, it grows on me. And so I figured, what the heck? You know, if I can find these things for $1 a piece, I'll get them because I'm such a huge Transformers fan. So, and a Gen X kid. So we're gonna get that picked up. Number 2, that's the subscription cover. Then I got number 8, also subscription cover. And thirdly, number 10. So that's 3 more issues towards that 13-issue run. I have one, so I'm about a third of the way there. This was kind of fun. Sometimes when you find things once, you find it again in close proximity. So earlier I showed you Oblivion Song number 16 that I got for 99 cents. That was the next issue in the run that I needed. And then he had at this liquidation sale issue number 17 and number 18. I think that the volume is currently on around issue 26 or so. So I'm about 8 issues behind. But I got those 2, so that'll be fun to advance my reading in that series a little bit further. Then we've got here, this is going back, this is Cable number 107. This may look like a random buy. I have more than a handful. I have the first 10 issues of this Cable volume 1, and then a couple, smattered throughout the volume. But then, just like people like to pick up first issues, sometimes in volumes, I like to get the last issue as well. Maybe they're a lower print run, things like that. They can be harder to find. They're fun to hunt for. So this is the last issue in Cable Volume 1, number 107. And that was the first time I've ever seen it, and it was only $1. So that was good to get that. And then the last 2 books here, I've mentioned this before. I don't actively collect all of Spider-Man or Spider-Man's titles. There's so much. It's like Wolverine. You can find him in so many different titles over history. But this is Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2. I got turned on to this volume. This is the early part of Straczynski's time writing ASM. And this is the John Romita Jr. art that was on this. And so I've added the Romita portion of Straczynski's run of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2 to my wish list. And this is just helping me kind of chip away at that. So there was number 38, which is Legacy numbering 479. And Amazing Spider-Man number 40, or Legacy number 481. So that's it for the books that I got at the Most Wanted Comics liquidation sale. Okay, I've got one last thing to show you that's not actually a comic book, but maybe you'll think it's fun. I think it's fun. My wife Nicole and my daughter Molly were at the Dollar Tree, and they picked up 2 things for me. The first is this notebook, which, it's just notebook, right? No big deal. But the cover, that's what they got it for, this cover. When I was a kid, we called that type of reflective, holographic things, we called that space tape, because we actually had rolls. It probably looked like duct tape, but it was just rolls of this type of reflective tape. And to this day, I find it mesmerizing. I could just sit here and stare at it. And that's probably why I'm attracted to the metallic covers like you saw on those Wildcats. Love the foil covers. I'm a sucker for them. And this, every time I see it, makes me feel nostalgic. So that was one thing. The other thing, for Transformers and Gen X fans, here is a book of over 150 Transformers stickers. One of the things you have to know about my generation is that when we were kids, one I think for a while that was popular was to have a sticker book. So it would be an old time photo album maybe you would use with the peel up pages, and you would stick your pictures on there. But we would use those for sticker books. And for a while, so this has got a few sheets here. You got puffy stickers. Super cool to have puffy stickers. I used to have tons of those monster trucks and other things. They were great to have. Then we've got glitter stickers. Not really showing very well on here. There is glitter on there. Then you've got foil stickers. Again, how can you go wrong with foil stickers? And then the last one is glossy stickers. So just your kind of your basic stickers. But they got some of the vehicles in mid-transformation there. Optimus, Megatron, Grimlock, Bumblebee, Shockwave. So just some other cool little pickups there that my wife and daughter brought for me. That's going to do it for me, and that's going to wrap up this comic book haul as I went through the dollar bins a couple weeks ago. I hope there's something here that you enjoyed seeing. If you like this kind of content, hit that subscribe button down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up or leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I'm always looking to connect with other people who share a love for comics and comic collecting. With that, I'll say thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.